So if you understand your player type, then you definitely can bring that with you into your real life situations. At the very least, it will help you to understand yourself better and why you do the things you do, why you define success the way that you do, how you overcome boredom the way that you do. And it will make everything make so much more sense.
Hey everyone, today I bring you a special guest, Dr. Daniel Kaufmann. He recently published a book about gamer's journey. So Dr. Daniel Kaufmann is a YouTube partner at Dr. Gameology, where he teaches about the many positive elements of video games that help us overcome professional and personal journeys in real life. He's an associate professor who's helped develop programs for gaming and geek therapy training in clinical settings, and his publications cover video games, personality theory, online education, and counselor development. Dr. Kaufmann recently published the book, The Gamer's Journey, to help you turn the themes in many video games into life lessons that can unlock your own potential. Daniel, thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You mentioned on your book the gamer personalities. What's that about?
So personality types can be measured in many different ways. There's a lot of people are familiar with the Myers-Briggs type indicator, which gives everyone 4 letters. And of course, the first letter explains if you're introverted or extroverted. And then there's also a different structure of personality called the 5 factors of personality. And that explains extroversion, of course, but also openness to experiences, our conscientiousness, our neuroticism, and some other, there's 5 of them. So there's different ways to measure personality. And I've done research in that with scientific publications. So not like the books. The books are more to read for fun and get information to any audience. For scientific journals, you're targeting more professors and students who need to write about these things for their work. So my research background is in looking at how personality types play MMO games differently.
Okay.
So if you have an introverted personality that focuses more on structured playtime and, playing with other people at a high level, that could be an INTJ kind of mindset, speaking from personal experience. And so you might be more prone to doing harder raid boss kinds of events or large group activities to get gear that will make your character more powerful. But if you have more of a free-flowing kind of goal and you're not really trying to structure your time and you're focused more on the people that you're playing with and not so much the objectives or the item levels, then you might do different kinds of activities in that world, like crafting, or if there's a gardening system, or decorating your house, or grouping up with friends, but not for the hardcore kinds of fights, but for the casual fights or for the exploration kind of activities. And so the problem when you read a scientific article about a game like an MMO is frequently that the researchers are talking about the MMO as if all the players in the game are the same kind of player, which would be a homogeneous sample. Okay. There's no quiz, so nobody needs to know that. But it means that everyone in the group is the same type. And what actually is the case is inside a game like an MMO, you have all the personalities in there. No matter what kind of personality test you're using, all the personality types are in there. It happens every time I do a research study. There are certain personality types that there are many more of. And then there are other personality types that are quite rare, but they are all in there, finding a way to enjoy the game.
Right.
And because of that, you don't have the same kind of player doing the same thing over and over again. It's different than a Call of Duty kind of audience or a Fortnite kind of audience where you're doing the same matches on a repetitive cycle of 15 to 30 minutes. And everyone's doing the same kind of matches, even with variations for match types. In MMO games, there are a wide range of activities that appeal to different kinds of motivation styles. And so you get different gamer profiles in a game like that. Whereas other games, like a fighting game community, like Street Fighter 6 or Tekken, you're going to get a lot of very similar people playing those games if you look at a sample for a game like that, because the range of activities is not varied. It's all the same thing over and over again.
Right. Were you using Myers-Briggs or were you using several different ones?
My first one that I did with the Star Wars The Old Republic community was the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. And that was officially endorsed by the Myers-Briggs Institute. So I directly collaborated with them to use that instrument for that study. The second study was with Final Fantasy XIV as my sample, and that used the 5-factor inventory, which is openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, adaptability, and neuroticism.
Yeah. I find it very interesting on an academic level. Like, it's super interesting to hear, like, yeah, and I never thought about it. Like, yeah, like different people, you will get a certain type of people more often in certain games, and other games you will get more of everybody. How, or is maybe, and probably this was not the goal of your research, but like I'm thinking, is there any way that we can take that and apply it for our own lives? Like, knowing that we are the type of gamer who plays this, for example, I might do better doing, or I might enjoy more this type of stuff, or I could improve my life in this way. Do you think there's anything like that?
Absolutely. So one of my blog posts at drgamology.com that I did very early in the life of the website, but it's still up there, is it's about the player types. So if you understand your player type, then you definitely can bring that with you into your real life situations. At the very least, it will help you to understand yourself better and why you do the things you do, why you define success the way that you do, how you overcome boredom the way that you do. And it will make everything make so much more sense. Now, it's really important to understand that you have to add a couple things to your personality type in order to understand why you play games the way you do. For example, avatar psychology. Not everybody creates an avatar that is themselves. There are actually 4 different styles of avatar creation when you look at the psychological process of creating a character. And I go over that in The Gamer's Journey if you want to buy a copy of the book and read that directly from me. But there's also research that's been published on this in different games research articles that are published in scientific journals. And basically, if you understand why you create your avatar the way you do, and if you understand why you choose the in-game activities that you do, and why you pretend that things are very important goals the way that you choose, and other things are not important goals, and then other activities you can completely ignore them because they are not your favorite thing to do. And then you look at how you spend your time outside of the game, you're going to realize that you are more or less the same person. that you feel very high levels of success in your day-to-day life when things click for you in real life, IRL, compared to the way they do in video games. So what I tend to be all about is I like to blow things up and use the most powerful magical spells that I can get my hands on to just melt my opponents. That's what I am in video games. I love playing wizards or sorcerers. I love throwing big flashy balls of light or balls of fire from far away and watching things explode. Okay. I also love narratives and I love epic stories and I love character moments where you see people grow or where you see them achieve a big destiny defining moment, or they end up fulfilling a relationship that you felt from the beginning of the game was meant to be. Those things will possibly make me cry. Okay. But if I don't cry, I still will enjoy them very much. So big explosions, decimate my opponents, powerful story moments. Those are the things that I aim for as a professor. Those are the things that I aim for with every insight that I try to help people discover about themselves if I'm their therapist or if I'm training counselors and they're talking about their cases and I share an insight or feedback or talk to them about different research studies and have you tried doing this? And then you see that light flick on in their eyes like, that's a really good idea. And that is my version of that fireball. But it's also a character moment. And that's the Slayer player type. As I break down on my website, there's several different ones that explain different. There are 9 player types that I list on the website, but the Slayer is the one that I think I play most games as right now, and that's probably the way I play the game of life right now too, is if I'm able to get those things to happen, I will feel very good about the situation I was just in.
I like how you said the style of player that you use most often, meaning this is not like you're this type and that's it, and you're like fixed in that box, right? Because I often, when people talk about personality types, it's like, I am this label, done.
Yeah, that's the big thing that a lot of people that don't research personality types for a living will get very upset and they'll just reject personality theory completely. But what they don't understand is all those letters that we put to explain your personality, there's a middle where that letter would flip to the other letter. But then there's extremes. And if you have an extreme version of that letter, you're not flip-flopping to the other side because it will work better.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, when I take a test like the Myers-Briggs, I end up getting INTJ almost every time because there's also a preference clarity index, which every letter has this extra score that explains how strong that letter is and how close it is to flipping to the other side. So if you have a level 1 preference clarity for introversion, then you're very close to going down to 0 and flipping to a preference clarity 1 for extroversion.
That's me. I did a couple of times with like different times, and I went from an E to an I. Like, okay.
Right. So if you have a PCI of 1 on your E or your I, then certain situations or certain mindsets, you might answer those exact same questions and get a little bit more ease the next time instead of getting I's, or other way around.
Yeah.
Right. But for someone like me that has a PCI on the I hope when people listen to this podcast that this part still makes sense. But if I have a PCI of 3, so it's a rank 3 I.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
even on a day introversion,
yes.
Right? So if I'm a rank 3 introversion on that clarity index. I'm not flipping down to 2, down to 1, and then down to -1 to flip to the other side where the E goes level 1, level 2, level 3, the extroversion. It's not going to happen. But people who have an introversion personality type still can very much enjoy being around people. And so it's a very misunderstood concept. And I would just challenge people to find good books to read about how personality works in the 21st century, because a lot of the arguments against personality types and personality theory are arguing with the way personality theory was 100 years ago. And it's not actually that weak anymore in terms of how it works, that things continue to evolve and get measured differently.
Yeah. I talk a lot about attachment theory, and I'm writing a series of blog articles about attachment theory, and it's basically the same thing. It's like some people say, like, I'm secure, I'm avoidant, I'm anxious. It's like, well, no, like depending who you interact with, depending on many things, you're like in this range of this or that, right? And it's the same thing. I go crazy when people say, like, I am this. It's like, okay, chill. Like, you can be like this with more like this with some people, more like this with other people. When you were mentioning how you play games, I was thinking like how I play games. And like with Magic the Gathering, I've always liked green, stumpy creatures, lots of like very strong creatures who go directly. And I hate blue, because I don't know if you play Magic the Gathering, but like blue, the trope with blue is that it won't let you play. You play a card and they'll discard it, bring it back to your hand, whatever it is, and it frustrates me so much that I just refuse to play with blue, because to me that's not playing. Like, you can kill my creatures, you can throw stuff directly at me, give me poison, I don't care. Kill them, destroy them, but let me play. And as I was thinking about it, I'm like, that's how I am in life. I go straight up to people, telling them, look, like if I have an issue, I'll be like, this is what's going on. Let's work on it. Let's talk about it. I'll go directly. And I cannot deal with people who avoid hard conversations. That's why some of my relationships didn't work out, because I'm like, if you don't tell me what's wrong, I cannot do anything about it. And it drives me crazy. So this is not going to work. And only now I'm making that connection now. I don't know if it fits your personality types, but it's just something that I was thinking about. The other thing that I wanted to ask you is, I've seen on the Baldur's Gate 3 Facebook groups a lot of people like playing the Dirge.
The Dark Urge.
Yeah, the Dark Urge. Well, and it can be like resist the urge or go with the urge, right? And I cannot do bad things. I just can't. Like, every time I'm playing, I'm like, what's the nicest thing to do to everybody? This thing, okay? And it's really hard for me to do bad things, so I haven't even touched that. And so I'm wondering, like, should people be concerned if they're really enjoying the Dark Urge? Like, does that say anything about them?
No, it's a role play. It's an opportunity to practice different mindsets that don't fit into our existence in reality, as well as it fits into a chance to play something that's fictional and entertaining. So I don't think that there's any research ever that will point out that, oh, Dr. Kaufmann made so many dark side choices in Star Wars The Old Republic, he must be a heartless professor. Although I'm sure there are many students across the globe that think I'm a heartless professor. It's not because of Star Wars The Old Republic. It's not because of Baldur's Gate 3. Or The Witcher, or any of that. It can just be empowering to have the ability to choose something that's outside of the law and is outside of real consequences, and just to see what happens if I had the power to make these kinds of choices. Because in our reality, not only are some of those choices illegal or immoral and you shouldn't make them, but also there's real consequences if you made those choices. So in a video game, it's nice to have a place where we get to do things that are amplified outside of the norms of society and have big consequences, and then live with those consequences and still try to keep going with the story.
Right. So it's more about exploration more than anything else.
Yeah. It's exploration and experimentation. Yeah. The scientific method is what video games are all about.
Cool. So for anyone who buys the book and finishes the book, what do you hope that they will take away and that they can apply to their lives?
I hope that they finish the book, have hundreds of memories from their life of games that they played that I talked about and games that I could not fit because it's impossible to fit them all into a book. Although if you look at the thickness of the book, I definitely tried. I just hope that they are able to look back on all the games they played and their favorite characters and realize that those experiences mean something. They're a part of you. Those are your mythology now. Those are part of who you are as a person. And that makes you incredibly unique. And it also makes it so you can connect with other gamers very easily if you choose to. And that being a gamer is now an important part of your journey through life, that you're able to do anything that you want in the real world where the goals are true and the situations are like physically, tangibly real. But you can take the things that you learn from video games and apply them and be exceptional in the ordinary world, the same way that we do amazing things in the gaming world.
I love it. So where can they find the book? Where can they find you?
You can buy the book on Amazon or from Barnes & Noble or Books A Million. Most online retailers for books have it listed now. So it's very easy to find. And if you want to buy it directly from the publisher, you can go to the Geek Therapeutics website and see all of their books in the current series. I also wrote chapters in the Psychology of The Witcher and Psychology of The Last of Us, which those books are also coming out next week. So it's a huge week for me as an author. But The Gamer's Journey is 100% me. Every chapter was written by me. So that's a whole different thing that I'm very much looking forward to. You can find me online at Dr. Gameology, DrGameology, and that's my handle on Twitch and YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter/X, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere, TikTok too. So, same handle everywhere. Oh, I guess there's Blue Sky now too. There's so many of them. I'm not going to pretend that I do all of them well, but I would love to meet you if you're listening, and I'd love to continue the conversation wherever it is you want to connect with me.
Awesome. And speaking of continuing the conversation, to everyone watching and listening, if you have any questions for Dr. Kaufmann, please leave a comment, send me an email at dm@roadtodate.com or social media @roadtodate. And hopefully we can bring him back and ask some more questions. Daniel, thank you so much for coming. This was great.